Alright, hello. This is the first video that I'm dropping onto my YouTube channel. Um, so this is going to be called Elphilology, I believe. It might change, but that's the current plan. It's a name that one of my close friends came up with. Anyways, I wanted to keep it kind of familiar to me for the first video. This is something that I think about a lot, which is the difference between empiricism and idealism. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that this is, I feel like basically half of my posts are about this distinction. But I feel like, I mean, if you look at the history of philosophy, isn't that just a long discussion about the differences between empiricism and idealism? One could make that argument. Anyways, so there was this video that I saw by, it wasn't by Christopher Nolan, but he was doing a graduation commencement speech at, I think it was Princeton. Very old college, very nice. I kind of wish I went there instead of where I currently go, but he said something at the end of his talk that I thought was thought-provoking, and he's not totally ignorant to these subjects. I feel like he's very familiar with these terms, with these philosophical terms like idealism and empiricism. He seems very well read, not only in literature and artistic fields, but also philosophy. So I sort of, I don't, like, I'm not skeptical of everything he says. I feel like there's actually some truth, and I actually want to listen to what he says on these topics. Not only because he's my favorite director, but I feel like he's just knowledgeable on the subject, so I can trust what he says. One thing he says in his talk, he's talking about the ending of Inception, where people want to know, does the top fall or does it stay up? And he was talking about how, people are obsessed with the answer to that question, even though it really doesn't matter. I mean, people know that it's a fiction story anyways, but people really want to know, did the top stay spinning or did it fall down? And the message that he's trying to relay is that we need to not follow our dreams, but follow our reality. And at first glance, or the first time you hear that, it sounds very new agey and cringe. Just some progressive dogmatic saying or something like that. But if you really think about it, I think there's a lot of truth to be gained from that. I think, and this is what I basically wanted to talk about for this video, is that empiricism seems to me to be much more adaptive to the world than idealism is. And what I mean by that, and I'm going to go into detail about specifically into idealism, I think, but empiricism, these people who are like Christopher Nolan, who are very practical, they're very pragmatic. These people who, doctors or scientists, not the really goofy, nerdy types, but, just people who read scientific papers. These people tend to be more adapted to the modern world than other people, than idealists would be. And the reason I say this is because I sort of see idealism as sort of the autistic impulse, but on a lower level, whereas autism is like just pure idealism. The etymology of the word autism is something like obsession with oneself. Like, you're totally self-absorbed. You live in sort of like a dream world where all you think about is comic books or movies or books or something that you're obsessed with, because autistic people tend to be obsessed with one topic or another, and it's usually something to do with fiction or some specific subject. This is just in my experience. But clearly, autism is not adaptive to the world. Like if you're autistic, then you're maladapted to the world, and it's hard for you to succeed. It's hard for you to socialize. It's hard for you to get a job. All these, it's just harder, and that's why I say that empiricism, although like I I subscribe to lots of idealistic thought, like Kant, for example. I think he was really onto something, and I'd hope to go into more depth into specific philosophers later on. But um, yeah, so I definitely see some merit in the idealistic tradition, but clearly it's not only is it not popular. I mean, you look at channels who espouse purely philosophical ideas, like in I say philosophical in terms of like idealistic because that means the same thing nowadays. But these people who espouse philosophy as opposed to science and empirical thought, these channels aren't very popular at all. I mean, the first example that comes to mind is um, Johannes Niederhauser's channel, which I have learned a lot from. I'm not trying to throw shade at him, but clearly it's not as active of a community. It's not as um, it isn't a big crowd compared to people who follow different scientists or different psychologists, this sort of thing. And I just think it's because the idealistic tradition, while it has its merits, it's not adaptive to the world. And you can see how it's sort of, as our world has become more utilitarian and like everything is only useful according to its effects, and nothing is intrinsically sacred or valuable. Um, you can see how the empirical tradition has sort of taken over the practical side of things. And so the people who read papers, the people who study these things and don't think too hard are the people who succeed. Um, I'm not sure where I was going with this video, but I think the most important thing is to just post something and just get my thoughts and voice out there, because I probably wouldn't post any more videos. I would probably take forever to post my first video if I just tried to perfect it. Um, so yeah, those are the thoughts that I had. If you like this video, please share it, and see you guys in the next one.